Right now, as you are watching this, you are moving, not a little, not slowly. You are hurtling through the vacuum of space at 67,000 miles per hour. That is roughly 30 kilometers every single second. In the time it takes you to blink, you've traveled the length of 6 football fields, and yet you feel nothing. Your coffee sits still in its cup. The dust motes in the sunlight drift lazily. A feather, if you dropped one, would fall straight down as if the universe itself were holding its breath. How is this possible? How can we be strapped to a spinning rock, flung around a nuclear furnace, while the entire solar system itself races through the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour, and feel absolutely, perfectly eerily? This isn't just a physics trivia question. The answer to this puzzle unlocked one of the deepest secrets about the nature of reality itself. It is a secret that Galileo whispered, that Newton formalized, and that Richard Feynman, arguably the greatest physics teacher who ever lived, could explain with nothing more than a glass of water and a moving ship. Tonight we're going to follow that explanation, and by the end, you won't just understand why you don't feel the Earth moving. You'll understand something much stranger. That motion itself, the very idea of moving, might not mean what you think it means. Stay with me. For nearly 2,000 years, humanity believed something that seemed obvious. Common sense, self-evident. The Earth, they said, must be standing still. And why wouldn't they believe that? Look outside. The ground doesn't shake. The clouds don't get ripped off into oblivion. Birds fly in all directions. If the Earth were truly spinning at 1,000 m at the equator, faster than a bullet, surely we'd be flung off like water droplets off a wet dog. Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, made this argument. He said, if you drop a stone from a tower, it lands directly at the base of the tower. But if the Earth were moving, the tower would have drifted away during the stone's fall. The stone would land somewhere behind you. Since it lands right at your feet, the Earth must not be moving. This argument was so convincing, so intuitive, that it survived for millennia. Emperors believed it. Scholars staked their reputations on it, and then in the early 1600s, a stubborn Italian named Galileo. Galileo picked up a pen and shattered the entire thing with a single thought experiment. Galileo asked his readers to imagine something. Imagine you are below the deck of a large ship. The cabin is sealed. No windows, no way to see outside. Inside this cabin, there are butterflies fluttering. There is a bowl of water with fish swimming in it. There's a bottle dripping water into a cup below it. Now Galileo said, let the ship sit still in the harbor. Watch everything carefully. The butterflies fly freely in every direction. The fish swim equally well in all directions. The drops of water fall straight into the cup below now. And this is the genius part. Let the ship sail away at a smooth, steady speed. A calm sea, no waves, no jolts, just smooth motion. What changes? Nothing. The butterflies still flutter in every direction just as easily. The fish still swim just as happily. The water drops still fall straight down into the cup, not behind it. If you were sealed in that cabin, Galileo said, you would have no way at all of telling whether the ship was standing still or moving at tremendous speed across the ocean. This simple observation, this quiet little thought experiment, is one of the most important ideas in the history of science. It is called asterisk Galilean relativity, asterisk. And it planted the seed that Einstein would water centuries later. But what does it actually mean? Fast forward 300 years. Richard Feynman, Nobel laureate, is standing in front of a classroom trying to explain the same idea to his students. And Feynman, this is what made him brilliant. He didn't reach for complicated equations. He reached for intuition. Imagine, he would say, you are on an airplane, a big jet flying at 600 miles per hour. You pour yourself a glass of water. Does the water fly backward out of the picture? Number, you walk to the bathroom. Do you have to push against some invisible wind? Number, you toss a peanut in the air. Does it slam into the back of the cabin? No, it comes right back down into your hand. Why? Because And here is the key. You are also moving at 600 miles per hour. The plane is moving. The air inside the plane is moving. Your body is moving. Your body is moving. The peanut, when you toss it, is already moving at 600 miles per hour, along with everything else. When you throw it up, it goes up relative to you. But it is still carrying all that horizontal speed the plane gave it. Everything inside the plane shares the same motion, and because they share it, they don't notice it. Feynman put it this way. You cannot feel motion. You can only feel changes in motion. Think about this. When the plane accelerates down the runway, you feel pushed back into your seat. That is acceleration. That is a change. When the plane hits turbulence, you feel a drop. That is a change. When the plane banks left or right, you feel it. A change in direction is a change in motion. But once the plane is cruising smooth and steady at 600 miles per hour, you feel absolutely nothing. You could close your eyes and believe you were parked. The Earth, as it turns out, is the ultimate smooth airplane. It is not accelerating, at least not in any way you'd notice in a single moment. It is not jolting. It is not lurching. It is just gliding at 67,000 miles per hour around the sun with almost no change in speed or direction from one second to the next. And we're gliding with it. The atmosphere is gliding with it. The atmosphere is gliding with it. The oceans are gliding with it. Every molecule in your body is gliding with it. You don't feel the motion because there is no difference in motion between you and everything around you. Now, here is where it gets philosophically beautiful. If you cannot feel motion, if no experiment inside a sealed cabin can tell you whether you are moving or standing still, then ask yourself a very strange question. Are you actually moving at all? Let me explain what I mean. When we say the Earth moves at 67,000 miles per hour, what we really mean is the Earth moves at 67,000 miles per hour relative to the Sunday, but relative to the Moon, it moves at a different speed. Relative to the Milky Way center, it moves at another speed, entirely around 500,000 miles per hour. Relative to the cosmic microwave background, the leftover radiation from the Big Bang, it moves at yet another speed. Relative to another passenger on the same airplane as you are not moving at all. So which one is the real speed? The shocking answer, the answer that Galileo hinted at and Einstein proved. There is no such thing as the real speed. Asked, there is no absolute motion in the universe. There is no cosmic ruler against which all things can be measured. There is no true stillness anywhere in the cosmos. Every measurement of motion is relative to something else, and no vantage point is more correct than any other. This is why Einstein called his theory asterisk relativity. Asterisk relativity. Because everything motion, speed, even time itself is relative to the observer. Feynman loved to point this out. He'd say, you ask, how fast is the Earth moving? My question back to you is moving compared to what? And this simple question, this innocent little question is, what cracked the entire classical worldview wide open? Let's come back to Earth, literally. You are standing in your kitchen. Your mug of coffee sits on the counter. Outside, the Earth is racing around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. Inside, the coffee is perfectly still. Why? Because the mug is moving at 67,000 miles per hour. The counter is moving at 67,000 miles per hour. Your kitchen, your house, the air in the room, and you yourself all moving at 67,000 miles per hour. There is no relative motion between the coffee and the mug, no relative motion between your lips and the coffee when you take a sip. The Earth carries all of it together, like a mother carrying a sleeping child. Now, and this is important, the Earth is also spinning. At the equator, the surface is rotating at about 1,000 miles per hour. Again, faster than a commercial jet. Again, totally imperceptible. Why? Same reason. Everything on the surface shares the motion. The atmosphere rotates with the Earth. Your body rotates with the Earth. So does every building, every molecule of air, every drop of water. But here is where things get subtle. The Earth's rotation is not perfectly smooth. It curves. And curved motion is technically accelerated motion because the direction is always changing. This means there is a tiny, tiny effect you can feel. It is called the asteris Coriolis effect. It is what makes hurricanes spin counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. It is what makes long-range artillery shells drift slightly off course. It is what Foucault's pendulum, that famous swinging pendulum in museums, reveals as it slowly rotates throughout the day. So, in a very quiet, very subtle way, the Earth does whisper its motion to us. But you have to know where to listen. Let me leave you with something strange to chew on. Isaac Newton, the father of classical physics, was deeply troubled by Galileo's idea. He accepted it, but something about it bothered him. If all motion is relative, if nothing is really truly at rest, then what is space itself? Is space just a bunch of relationships between objects? Or is there some invisible absolute space, a cosmic stage upon which all the actors dance? Newton believed in the stage. He believed there was an absolute space and an absolute time, even if we could never measure them. He called it God's sensorium, the unchanging backdrop of reality. Einstein disagreed. Einstein said, no, there is no stage. There is only the dance. Space and time themselves are woven into the motion. They bend, they stretch, they dilate depending on who is observing. And Feynman in his pragmatic, mischievous way said, stop worrying about what is really happening. Just ask what you can measure, because here is the final dizzying truth. The reason you don't feel the Earth moving is the same reason the universe has no center, the same reason time slows down for fast-moving clocks. The same reason Einstein changed everything. Asteris motion is not a property of an object. Motion is a relationship between objects. There is no absolute frame, no fixed point, no God's eye view, just observers looking at each other, measuring their distances, their speeds, their times, all relative, all valid, all part of a vast cosmic ballet where nothing stands still and yet nothing from the inside seems to move. So the next time you sip your coffee and notice that the surface is perfectly calm, remember this: you are on a spinning sphere hurtling around a fusion reactor inside a galaxy that is itself flying through a universe that is expanding in every direction at once. The stillness you feel is an illusion, but it is a beautiful illusion. It is the illusion that allowed life to evolve, that allows your brain to function, that makes civilization possible. Because imagine if we could feel every cosmic motion, we'd never know a single moment of peace. The universe is generous in its deception. It lets us feel still so that we can think and dream and wonder. And wondering, perhaps, is the most beautiful motion of all. If this journey made you pause, if you found yourself feeling just a little bit different about the ground beneath your feet, then stick around, because the universe has many more secrets hidden in plain sight. And we're just getting started. Until next time, try to feel the motion. You might fail, but the failure itself is the merit.